Today on Talk Fulton, making the most out of a second chance. We'll introduce you to graduates of the Behavioral Health Treatment Program, thanks to the Accountability Court Services. And we'll take a look at how justice officials are trying to address the staggering number of people with illness who are behind bars. Talk Fulton starts right now. Welcome to Talk Fulton. I'm Yvette Jones. We're talking today about an issue that is being discussed all across the nation following numerous news reports about crimes committed by people who suffer from mental health issues. In late October, the Superior Court of Fulton County took the lead on the Metro Atlanta Justice Mental Health Symposium, a gathering that brought hundreds of people together to discuss how to address the staggering number of people with mental illness who are in the criminal justice system or behind bars. FGTV's Priscilla Ortega leads us off with more on the symposium.
Mental illness is something that the medical community and governments deal with nationwide. So Fulton County Superior Court took the lead in bringing stakeholders together to discuss what strategies are really working across the country. Law enforcement, judges, policymakers, and educators gathered in one room to discuss a problem plaguing this country.
What can we do to better address the mentally ill who are not only a part of our criminal justice system, but they are very, very visible in terms of our homeless population?
The goal of the Metro Atlanta Justice Mental Health Symposium was to bring community partners together. The group gathered at Metropolitan State College to discuss ways to properly treat mentally ill individuals in the justice system so they don't keep coming back.
Basically, get them paired with resources so that hopefully it will have a positive effect on declining the recidivism of individuals that have unaddressed mental illness and untreated substance abuse.
Organizers say across the nation, about 2 million people with serious mental illnesses are admitted to jails. Their statistics suggest that those individuals tend to stay longer and have a higher risk of returning.
Our counties are spending over $72 billion a year to incarcerate people. It's making it impossible for us to build new roads, new hospitals, and new schools.
Some ideas used in other counties include crisis intervention units and conducting mental health risk assessments as soon as inmates are admitted. The symposium covered all aspects of the justice system, including juvenile offenders, and how to help citizens find housing once they return to society. Now, the group plans to meet again and talk about ways to implement what they discussed during this two-day symposium. Reporting for FGTV, I'm Priscilla Ortega.
The Fulton County Jail is considered the largest de facto mental health facility in Georgia, with half of its population receiving some type of mental health service. To address this large number of detainees who could not be released because of mental illness, the Superior Court of Fulton County began a pilot mental health court in 2006. In 2011, the mental health court was renamed the Behavioral Health Treatment Court. Lee Brooks is the director of Fulton's Accountability Courts. Welcome to Talk Fulton, sir.
Thank you.
Well, we'll talk about the services of the Accountability Court in a moment, but first, your team took part in the Metro Atlanta Justice Mental Health Symposium we just saw there. What did you glean from that forum?
Well, it's what we've known for a long time is that the mental health people that are in the community are being basically treated in the jails, and that is just unacceptable because they just don't have the facilities and they don't have the resources to treat people that need to be treated for their mental illness. So it's a nationwide problem. Cook County Jail in Chicago and the Los Angeles County Jail are basically the largest mental health institutions in the country, and that's just not where we need to be with people who are suffering mental illnesses.
Now, overall, what is it that judicial and mental health professionals are hoping to achieve in terms of dealing with the number of people with mental illness in our justice systems?
What we hope to do is to get them out of the jail environment and get them the resources that they need, whether it be housing resources, medication, medical treatment, and provide some treatment to them in an outpatient facility, as opposed to putting them in a jail where they essentially are just warehoused. So what we're trying to do is get them resources they need, get them stabilized on their medication, and reduce the opportunities for them to self-medicate using illegal drugs.
Really what we're talking about is a holistic approach, looking at really what the root causes of their behavior might be.
Well, yes, in terms of looking at the entire person, it doesn't do any good just to simply say, we're going to stop them from being recidivists, committing more crimes, without addressing all of the other issues that contribute to that. There are things called criminogenic needs that they have that contribute to crime. Lack of education, lack of employment, lack of safe and secure housing, all of those community things that they need in order to stay away from crime. And then we have to be able to get them to be able to respond to the treatment components or protocols that we're trying to provide for them. So it is not just let's stop crime, but it's really let's address the entire issue of what's happening with these people.
Now let's take a bigger look at the accountability courts. There are 3 of them, right?
That's correct. We have the Adult Felony Drug Court, the Behavioral Health Treatment Court, and then we have a Veterans Court.
And each of those with a different focus, correct?
Yes, the Adult Felony Drug Court, the primary issue there is the person has to be diagnosed with a substance dependency or a substance abuse issue as their primary diagnosis. With behavioral health, it's just the opposite. The primary diagnosis has to be with a behavioral health or a mental health issue. There are co-occurring disorders and there are dual diagnoses that we have in both of those courts. And of course our Veterans Court is a specialty court addressing people who have served in the military, who have found themselves in the criminal justice system and have either a substance abuse issue or a mental health issue.
Do you find that the numbers are growing in terms of Veterans Court? Are people seeking help more often, or are you just identifying the need better?
Well, the court has been around for a couple of years now, and I think initially the thought process, and again, this is sort of a misconception in the community, that we were going to see a lot of people coming out of the Afghanistan and Iraq conflicts and coming to the courts because of PTSD. But really, the accountability courts are for what we consider to be very high-risk individuals, meaning that they've been in the criminal justice system for a long time, and their next step is going to prison. We're trying to intervene so that they don't end up in prison. We can return them back to the community. So we anticipate in the next 5 years the Veterans Court will grow significantly, but right now we're growing somewhat.
Let's take a break now. When we come back, we will hear all about the Behavioral Health Treatment Court and how it is transforming lives. Stay with us. Welcome back. We've been talking to Lee Brooks, Director of Fulton's Accountability Courts. Now, before the break, we were sharing information with our audience about the Drug and Veterans Courts. And we spent a good amount of time talking about the Veterans Court and touched a little bit on Drug Court. Let's talk a little more in depth about what Drug Court is and how it's helpful.
Well, Drug Court is the largest accountability court that we have in Fulton County. And drug courts have been around about 26 or 27 years now, so there's a lot of research and a lot of science out there that demonstrates what works and what doesn't work with drug court. To be eligible for our drug court program, you have to have to be considered high risk, high need, meaning that there's a real high probability that you're going to reoffend if you don't get treatment, or you're going to end up in prison and spend the rest of your life in prison.
Sure.
So we take the high-risk people and been involved in the criminal justice system for a long time, bring them into the program, and when we bring them into the program, their primary diagnosis has to be substance dependency or substance abuse. And charged with a felony, they have to be felons, and they're nonviolent, for the most part, nonviolent felons.
Sure.
Generally, these are the people who are in the community committing crimes to feed a drug addiction that they have. So we're trying to remove them, put them in an intensive outpatient treatment program, along with community supervision, case management, judicial supervision through the judges. And it's an 18 to 24 month program, so it's a fairly long and fairly intensive program. And the goal is to, one, get them off of their addiction, away from the criminal thinking, and return them to the community so they're productive in the community.
And it's been met with pretty good success, would you say?
It's very successful. In Fulton County, our success rate is a little over 71% of those who graduate do not reoffend within 4 years. And that 4 year is based on the Department of Corrections formula for the state of Georgia. So we believe that our success rate and our recidivism rates are extremely high. The national research says that if you're around 50% or somewhere in that neighborhood, you have a very successful program. In Fulton County, we're about 70% of ours don't reoffend.
That's excellent news, excellent. Now let's move on to talk about the Behavioral Health Treatment Court, which used to be called Mental Health Court. Why the name change?
Well, you know, unfortunately, there's a stigma attached to mental health. We're all competing for very, very limited resources in the community. It's very difficult to find housing for anybody who's involved in the criminal justice system. But when you add this stigma on top of that, if this person is suffering from a mental illness, those resources tend to dry up very quick. So what we tried to do was change the name from mental health, remove that stigma, and make it a behavioral health court so that you don't have that sort of stigma attached to them before they even get a chance to get in the community.
Sure. So now how does someone who is involved in the court system become eligible for this treatment program?
One is we have to have a diagnosis, and that diagnosis has to be of a mental health as a primary diagnosis. What we find is people who enter the jail does a good job of doing the assessment over there, and they generally get referred to us by the public defender's office or the judges or somebody else that it's clear this person needs resources other than probation or some other alternative sentencing.
Sure.
So it gets referred to us, we do an interview, we do the assessment, make sure that we have the diagnosis, and then we bring them into the program and provide them the resources that they need.
And then how do you service the client specifically?
Well, what happens is Grady has what we call assertive community treatment teams. They're assigned to an ACT team. The ACT team assists them with their medication, making sure they stay compliant on their medication. Our case managers work with them to make sure they're compliant with getting their education, getting their job searches, and safe and secure housing, making sure they're meeting all their medical appointments and basically doing all of the resource needs that they have. And then we have clinicians, licensed clinicians who work with us who also do life skill classes with them, teach them about how to manage a budget, how to show up on time, how to appear for a job interview. And then of course they go to court, they go status review every 2 weeks, they go to court, and Judge Downs is the judge for our behavioral health court. And Judge Downs spends a large amount of time with them, helping them through issues and working through staying compliant, staying on their medication. And it's about an 18 to 24 month program, so over that time, we have fairly good success rates with them.
And what it sounds like is that you're holding them accountable, helping them, but also teaching them how to be accountable as well.
That's the premise. The premise is that many of them don't have the skills. They missed a lot of those skills because of their criminal behavior, their mental health, and because of their substance abuse. So what we have to do is basically reteach them how to be functional in society. And so 18 to 24 months, we do a lot of life skills and teaching them how to behave, but they're also held accountable. If they don't do what we ask them to do, or they're not compliant with the program, they don't get a slap on the wrist. Many times they serve jail sanctions. They have to go into jail for a few days and come back out. But you know, if you think about it in terms of behavior modification, it is an advanced model of behavior modification. You reward behavior you want, you sanction behavior you don't want. And over 18 to 24 months, it works.
And that's part and parcel of them remaining in the program, I imagine, following those rules?
Absolutely. They sign a participation contract. They agree to follow all the rules and regulations of the court. They agree to abide by all the instructions and guidance that they're given.
Sure.
If they're not compliant or they choose not to, you know, they stand a chance of losing the opportunity to be in the program. But again, when we talk about individuals who very high risk, who've lived in the street, suffering severe mental illnesses, you can't throw them in jail the first time they violate the rules. You have to be patient. You have to be tolerant.
Sure.
It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. Many of these are in their 40s and 50s. All they've known is the street and crime. So you have to be very patient to work in this program.
Now, every year your office hosts ceremonies for those who successfully complete the program, and we covered one of your ceremonies and spoke to a few of the graduates. Let's hear from them, and then we will continue our conversation on the back end of that.
I learned a new way of thinking. I learned patience. I learned to negotiate. I learned to respect others. I learned to be accountable.
Judge Downs and the clinicians all set goals throughout the course of the 18 months, which have helped me to better my life today from 18 months ago, but also set a path for me moving forward.
Well, that must be gratifying for you and your team to see the clients complete the program and get the help they need.
It's interesting because both of those clients talked to me before and thanked me so much for the program, and it's kind of hard for me to respond because I'm so humbled by the fact that they did the 18 months and they did the 24 months, and seeing that kind of success is just, I don't know how to describe it.
Wow. Any final thoughts you have? I mean, this seems like a very comprehensive program you have here with all of the courts. What would you leave our viewers with?
Well, I just wanted them to know that the Accountability Court is a program that is very intensive for the people. It's not a diversion program. It's not an alternative sentencing program. It is a treatment program. They're in treatment. They're being supervised, and they are held accountable for all of their actions. Fulton County does a great job with funding us and supporting us. We've gotten support a number of different places, but we fear those things we don't understand.
Sure.
And we don't understand mental illness. We don't understand drug addiction. We don't understand those things.
Sure.
So we tend to be afraid of them. So we just need the support.
Well, excellent. You've given us some excellent information today, and thank you for sharing your insight and information about the Accountability Courts. Lee Brooks, the Director of the Accountability Courts for Fulton County. This was great information. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you.
We will be right back. That does it for this edition of Talk Fulton. A special thanks to Lee Brooks and a special thanks to you, of course, for watching. We invite you to email us to let us know what topics you'd like to see addressed on Talk Fulton. Email us at fgtv.feedback@fultoncountyga.gov. I'm Yvette Jones. We'll see you next time.